Dr. Jinho Park stared at the numbers on his screen for the third time that night. Something was wrong. Or maybe something was finally right. He rubbed his tired eyes and checked the calculations again. The coffee on his desk had gone cold hours ago, but he didn't care. This was bigger than sleep. Bigger than anything he had ever discovered. The Sol Stellar Institute was quiet at 3 a.m. Most of his colleagues had gone home. Only the hum of computers and the distant sound of cleaning robots filled the empty halls. Jinho had been working on faster-than-light travel for 7 years. 7 long years of failure and mockery. The Galactic Council said humans were too primitive to understand real space travel. They had kept Earth at observer status for 50 years, watching but never truly welcoming humanity into the galactic community. The aliens had their own FTL technology. They called it the Vren method. Every species in the galaxy used it. It could move a ship 10 light-years in one day. That sounded fast, but the galaxy was huge. It took weeks or months to travel between distant stars. Jinho always thought there had to be a better way. Tonight he had found it. The door to his lab slid open. Dr. Hana Choi walked in carrying 2 fresh cups of coffee. She was his colleague, sometimes his rival, but always brilliant. They had been competing for research grants for years, but recently they had started working together. "You're still here," Hana said, handing him a cup. "Please tell me you found something. I can't handle another dead end." Jinho turned his screen toward her. "Look at this. The quantum entanglement equations everyone uses. They're wrong. Not completely wrong, just limited." Hana leaned closer, her eyes scanning the data. Her expression changed from tired to alert in seconds. "This can't be right. If this works, it would mean 1,000 light-years per day," Jinho finished. "Maybe more." They stared at each other. Hana set down her coffee cup carefully, as if sudden movement might shatter the moment. "We need to test this now." 3 months later, they had built a small probe. They called it Endeavor 1. It was barely larger than a refrigerator, packed with instruments and the experimental cascade drive. Commander Sora Kim watched the final preparations from the control room. She was a military pilot, sharp and fearless. The government had assigned her to oversee the test. If this worked, she would be the first human to pilot a ship with the new drive. "All systems ready," Hana announced from her station. Launching in 60 seconds, Jinho felt his heart pounding. Years of work came down to this moment. The probe sat on the launch platform at the edge of Earth's solar system. If the cascade drive failed, they would lose everything. If it worked, everything would change. 10 seconds, Sora counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. The probe vanished. Not slowly, not with a flash of light. It simply ceased to exist in that location. The screen showed empty space where Endeavor 1 had been. "Did it work?" Jinho whispered. Hana typed rapidly on her keyboard. "Tracking signal, got it. It's at Alpha Centauri." The room erupted in cheers. Alpha Centauri was 4 light-years away. The Vren method would take 6 days to reach it. Their probe had arrived in 4 hours and 42 minutes. Sora grinned. "When can I get one of these for a real ship?" But the celebration was short-lived. Within hours, they received a message from Ambassador Thelrix, the Council's overseer on Earth. The alien's face appeared on the main screen, his expression cold and stern. "Earth scientists," Thelrix began, his voice carrying the weight of authority. "The Council has detected unusual energy readings from your recent experiment. You are ordered to cease all testing of this technology immediately. Such dangerous experimentation could threaten the stability of local space." Jinho stepped forward. "Ambassador, our probe was perfectly safe. We've run every simulation." "The Council has spoken," Thelrix interrupted. "No further discussion is permitted. Dismantle your equipment within 1 week or face severe consequences." The screen went dark. Sora turned to Jinho and Hana. "He's not worried about safety." "No," Hana agreed quietly. "He's worried about what this means." Jinho pulled up the data from the probe's journey. The cascade drive had created a unique energy signature, completely different from Vren technology. Any ship in the galaxy could detect it. The Council knew instantly that humans had created something new, something powerful. Why would they want us to stop? Jinho wondered aloud. If this technology is better, shouldn't they want to learn from it? Sora crossed her arms. Unless they already know about it. Unless they've been keeping everyone from developing it on purpose. The thought hung in the air like a dark cloud. Jinho had always believed the Council wanted to help younger species grow and learn, but Thelrix's reaction seemed more like fear than concern. What was the Council hiding? Director Minho Yoon arrived at the Institute the next morning. He was the head of Earth's United Space Command, a careful political player who knew how to navigate both human and alien bureaucracy. He gathered the team in a secure conference room. "I've received 3 separate messages from Council members," Minho said, placing his tablet on the table, "all of them demanding we destroy the Cascade Drive research. Not just stop testing. Destroy everything. That's insane," Hana protested. "This could revolutionize space travel for everyone." "Exactly," Minho replied. "And that's what scares them. I've been reviewing our relationship with the Council. 50 years they've kept us waiting. 50 years of saying we're not ready. Meanwhile, they control all trade routes, all communication networks, all access to advanced technology. What if they like it that way?" Jinho felt something shift in his understanding. "They want us dependent on them. On their technology, their rules, their slow travel," Sora added. "If we can move 1,000 times faster than their ships, we don't need their permission for anything." Minho nodded slowly. "I'm authorizing continued research in secret. But we need to be smart. The Council is watching. Whatever you do next, make it count." As the meeting ended, Jinho looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Council was afraid of what humanity had created. That fear told him everything. They weren't trying to protect the galaxy. They were trying to protect their power. And Jinho had no intention of letting them win. Yuna Lee was not supposed to be in the lab at midnight. The young engineer had only joined the Cascade Drive project 3 weeks ago, mainly handling basic equipment maintenance. But she couldn't sleep. The Council's threats bothered her more than she wanted to admit. So she returned to the Institute to run diagnostics on the communication arrays. That's when she heard something she wasn't meant to hear. The equipment was scanning through frequencies when it caught an encrypted transmission. The signal was strong, coming from somewhere in Earth's orbit. Yuna frowned. All Council communications were supposed to go through official channels. Why would someone be broadcasting in secret? She ran the signal through the decryption software. It took 20 minutes, but eventually the message became clear. What she read made her blood run cold. Suppression protocol confirmed. Humanity's research into rapid transit technology must be eliminated. Use any means necessary. Reference historical precedent. The harmonization event 247 cycles ago. Yuna's hands shook as she copied the message. The harmonization event? She had never heard of it. She searched the Council's public databases but found nothing. It was as if this event had been erased from history. She called Dr. Jinho Park immediately. 20 minutes later, Jinho, Hana, and Sora crowded around Yuna's workstation. Director Minho arrived shortly after, his face grim. The harmonization event, Minho repeated slowly. "I'll have our intelligence people search for any references. If the Council is hiding something, we need to know what." It took 3 days. 3 days of searching through old data archives, forgotten transmissions, and leaked documents from alien sources. Finally, they found something. A journalist named Taiho Shin had been investigating Council history for years. He had collected fragments of information about ancient civilizations that suddenly disappeared from galactic records. Taiho arrived at the Institute carrying a battered datapad filled with his research. He was young and intense, driven by a need to uncover the truth. The harmonization event, Taiho explained, spreading his files across the conference table, was a purge. 5,000 years ago, an ancient species called the Precursors developed near-instantaneous space travel. They could cross the entire galaxy in hours. The Council saw them as a threat and destroyed them. Every ship, every research station, every trace of their technology. The Council called it harmonization. They said it was necessary for galactic peace. Hana looked sick. They committed genocide to stop faster travel? Not just once, Taiho continued. I found records of 17 different species over the past 5,000 years. All of them developed advanced FTL technology. All of them were eliminated or their research was destroyed. The Council has been suppressing technological progress for millennia. Jinho stared at the data in disbelief. The Vren method wasn't the best FTL drive. It was the slowest one the Council allowed to exist. They kept every species moving at the same limited speed, ensuring no one could challenge their authority. They built their entire power structure on controlled stagnation, Sora said quietly. If everyone moves slowly, the Council can monitor and control everything. But if we can cross the galaxy in days instead of months, we break their system, Minho finished, and they'll do anything to stop us. The next morning, Taiho published his findings. The story spread across Earth's networks within hours. News channels ran constant coverage. People were outraged. The Galactic Council, which had presented itself as benevolent and wise, was revealed as a tyrannical power that murdered entire civilizations to maintain control. The Council's response was swift and harsh. Ambassador Thelrix delivered an ultimatum that afternoon. His holographic image appeared in government buildings across Earth. The dissemination of false historical information and continued development of prohibited technology has left the Council no choice, Thelrix announced. Earth will face immediate economic sanctions. All trade agreements are suspended. All cultural exchanges are terminated. You have 1 week to surrender all Cascade Drive research and issue a public apology, or face military intervention. The transmission ended. Silence filled the conference room where Earth's leaders had gathered. They're terrified, Sora observed. They wouldn't threaten military action unless they were desperate. We need leverage, Minho said. Something that gives us bargaining power. Jinho had been thinking about this for days. What if we don't bargain? What if we show them they've already lost? He explained his plan. They would build a real ship with the Cascade Drive. Not a probe, but a vessel that could carry people, and they would fly it directly to the Council's headquarters station, 40,000 light-years away. The journey should take 11 years with Vren technology. They would do it in 40 days. We arrive before they can mobilize, Jinho continued. We broadcast our journey to every species in the galaxy. We show them what's possible. The Council can't suppress technology that everyone already knows about. It's incredibly risky, Hana warned. The drive is still experimental. We've only tested it once on a small probe. I'll do it, Sora volunteered immediately. I'll pilot the ship. Minho considered the plan. The political risks were enormous. If they failed, Earth would be isolated and vulnerable. But if they did nothing, the Council would crush them anyway. Build the ship, Minho ordered. We'll call it the Tagak. Commander Kim, start selecting your crew. Construction began in secret at a hidden facility beyond Mars. The ship took shape quickly. Engineers worked around the clock, incorporating the Cascade Drive into a vessel designed for both speed and survival. Meanwhile, Yuna and her team worked on another problem. We need proof, Yuna explained to Jinho. Proof that the Council has been sabotaging us. She got her proof 2 weeks later. 3 alien agents were caught trying to plant explosives in the Cascade Drive research lab. Security forces arrested them before they could detonate the devices. The agents claimed diplomatic immunity, but their presence on Earth was a clear violation of Council law. The incident was broadcast worldwide. Public opinion turned sharply against the Council. Even some Council member species began questioning their leadership. Jinho knew they were running out of time. The Tagak was nearly complete, but the Council was growing more aggressive. Their military ships had begun positioning themselves around Earth's solar system. On the night before the Tagak's departure, Jinho found Sora running final checks on the bridge. The ship was beautiful, sleek, and powerful, built with humanity's best engineering and their revolutionary drive technology. You know this is a one-way trip if something goes wrong, Jinho said quietly. Sora smiled. Then I'll make sure nothing goes wrong. Besides, someone has to show those Council bureaucrats that humans don't scare easily. She handed Jinho a data chip. Complete documentation of the Cascade Drive, everything we know. If we don't make it back, share it with anyone who wants it. Don't let them bury this technology. Jinho took the chip, feeling its weight. Be careful out there. Careful is boring, Sora replied. And humanity has been playing it safe for too long. The next morning, the Tagak launched from the hidden facility. 47 crew members aboard, all volunteers who knew the risks. As the ship activated its Cascade Drive and vanished from Earth's solar system, Jinho watched from the control center. Director Minho stood beside him. Now we wait. No, Jinho corrected. Now we prepare. Because when Sora reaches that Council station, everything changes, and we need to be ready for what comes next. High above Earth, Council warships detected the Tagak's departure. Ambassador Thelrix received the report and immediately contacted his superiors. His message was brief and urgent. The humans have launched their ship. They're heading for Council headquarters. Estimate arrival in 40 days. Recommend immediate fleet deployment to Earth. The situation is no longer containable. The response came back within minutes. Fleet authorization granted. Neutralize the human threat by any means necessary. The countdown had begun. The Taeguk cut through space at speeds that should have been impossible. Commander Sora Kim sat in the captain's chair, watching the navigation display track their progress. 4 days into the journey, and they had already traveled 8,000 light-years. The crew was still adjusting to the reality of what they were doing. Chief Engineer Dong-Yun Kang called up from the engine room. "Commander, the Cascade drive is running better than expected. We're actually exceeding our projected speed by 12%, Sora smiled. Jinho would be pleased to hear that. Keep monitoring it closely. We can't afford any surprises. Dr. Yoonji Han, the ship's xenoanthropologist, was having the time of her life. Every few hours they passed through regions of space that would normally take weeks to reach. She studied the civilizations they detected along the way, fascinated by the diversity. "Commander, I'm picking up a distress signal," called out Hansu Baek from the navigation station. He was young but brilliant with numbers. "It's coming from a planet in the next system. The language matches the Corvani species." "The Corvani are council members," Yoonji noted, checking her database. What would they be doing this far from the main travel routes? Sora made a quick decision. "We'll investigate. Drop us out of Cascade near their planet." The Taeguk emerged from its faster-than-light travel above a blue and green world. The planet looked peaceful, but the distress signal told a different story. Sora opened a communication channel. A surprised Corvani face appeared on the screen. The alien had 4 eyes and spoke through a translator device. "Human ship. How did you arrive so quickly? We sent that distress call 3 days ago. The council said help wouldn't arrive for 2 weeks. We have new technology," Sora explained. "What's your emergency?" The Corvani, who introduced himself as Koran, explained that their mining colony was running out of medical supplies due to a plague. The council had promised help, but as always the slow travel times meant people would die waiting. "We can transport supplies from the nearest council station," Hansu calculated. "It's only 400 light-years away. We could make a round trip in less than a day." Sora didn't hesitate. "Let's do it." The journey took 9 hours. They arrived at the council supply station, loaded emergency medical supplies, and returned to the Corvani colony before the local authorities even realized they had left. The Corvani were amazed and grateful. "Your speed is incredible," Koran said as they unloaded the supplies. "Why doesn't everyone have this technology?" "That's a good question," Yoonji replied carefully. "Maybe you should ask the council." As the Taeguk continued its journey, word of their actions spread. They had saved lives that the council's slow response would have cost. Other isolated colonies began broadcasting messages of support. The human ship was becoming famous. On day 11, they made a discovery that changed everything. Hansu had been mapping their route when he noticed something strange. Certain regions of space had unusual energy patterns. When they investigated, they found ancient structures floating in the void. "These are thousands of years old," Yoonji breathed, studying the scans. "Look at the design. This matches descriptions of precursor architecture." They approached carefully. The structures were massive, clearly the remains of a space station or fleet base. But everything had been systematically destroyed. Blast marks covered every surface. This wasn't the result of a battle. It was an execution. Dong-Yun found something in the debris field, a data core, damaged but partially functional. It took hours to extract any information, but what they found confirmed Taiho's research. These were the remains of the precursor fleet, destroyed by the Council 5,000 years ago for developing instantaneous travel. "They wiped out an entire civilization," Sora said quietly, staring at the ruins. "Not because they were dangerous, because they were free." Hansu had been running calculations based on the precursor data core. "Commander, look at this. If the galaxy had proper FTL technology, every inhabited world could be connected within days. Instead, the Council maintains these approved travel routes that take months. They've artificially fragmented the entire galaxy, keeping everyone separated and dependent," Yoonji concluded. "It's not governance. It's control." The discovery steeled their resolve. They had to reach Council headquarters. The galaxy needed to know the truth. On day 23, they encountered the Council patrol fleet. 8 ships, Vren-class cruisers, Hansu reported. "They're moving to intercept us." The Council ships opened a communication channel. A stern alien commander appeared on screen. Human vessel, you are ordered to power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. You are in violation of Council space regulations. Sora kept her voice calm. We're on a peaceful mission to Council headquarters. We have the right to travel through open space. You are traveling at prohibited speeds using illegal technology. Surrender immediately or we will open fire. Sora cut the transmission and turned to her crew. Tactical options? We can't fight 8 cruisers, Dongyun said. But we can outrun them. Not good enough, Sora replied. We need to show them they can't catch us at all. Hansu, can you plot multiple micro-jumps? Hansu's eyes widened as he understood. Consecutive cascade jumps? That's never been tested. First time for everything. Plot 47 micro-jumps, random vectors, all within their sensor range. Let's give them a demonstration, the Teguk began jumping. Each jump lasted only seconds, but they moved in unpredictable patterns around the patrol fleet. The Council ships tried to track them, but Vren drives needed minutes to charge between jumps. The Teguk was moving faster than they could react. After the 47th jump, Sora positioned the Teguk directly in front of the patrol fleet commander's ship. She opened the communication channel again. As you can see, your technology can't stop us. But we're not here to fight. We're here to talk. Your council has been lying to the galaxy for thousands of years. And it's time for the truth. She transmitted the data from the precursor ruins, then jumped away before the council ships could respond. News of the encounter spread rapidly. The Teguk had made the council fleet look helpless. More importantly, the precursor data was now circulating among species across the galaxy. Questions were being asked. Doubts were growing. On day 38, they received a message from Earth. Director Minho's face appeared on screen, looking worried. Commander Kim, 3 council members have issued a joint statement declaring humanity a threat to galactic stability. They're authorizing military action. You need to reach headquarters soon. The political situation is deteriorating rapidly. We're 2 days out, Sora replied. Tell Jinho we'll make it count. The crew spent those final days preparing. They organized all their evidence, practiced their testimonies, and made sure every detail was perfect. This wasn't just about humanity anymore. This was about changing the entire galaxy. Yunji came to Sora's quarters the night before arrival. Commander, I've been thinking about tomorrow. If we just appear in the council chamber, they might see it as an attack. That's exactly how I want them to see it, Sora said with a slight smile. Not an attack with weapons. An attack on their comfortable lies. Sometimes you need to shock people before they'll listen. On day 40, the Teguk approached Council Station Omicron. The massive structure hung in space, home to the Grand Assembly where representatives from 10,000 species gathered. It was the center of galactic power, protected by the most advanced security systems in known space. Dongyun studied the station's energy barriers. Commander, these security shields are designed to stop ships from getting close. But our cascade drive creates quantum phase shifts. I think we can pass right through them. You think? Hansu asked nervously. 90% sure, Dongyun corrected with a grin. Good enough for me, Sora decided. Take us in. Drop us right in the middle of their assembly chamber. The Teguk activated its cascade drive one final time. The ship phased through 7 layers of security shields as if they didn't exist. Energy alarms screamed throughout the station, but it was too late. The Teguk materialized inside the Grand Assembly Chamber, hovering in the center of the vast room. 10,000 representatives from across the galaxy stared in shock at the impossible sight. A human ship had just appeared in the most secure location in the galaxy, violating every known law of physics and security. Sora activated the ship's external communication system. Her voice echoed through the chamber. Council of the Galactic Assembly, humanity requests an immediate hearing. We have evidence of technological suppression, illegal warfare against developing species, and systematic genocide spanning 5,000 years. It's time for the truth. The chamber erupted in chaos. Council security forces rushed in, but stopped when they realized the human ship could jump away at any moment. News feeds from across the galaxy were broadcasting the scene live. Billions of beings were watching. Council Prime Talvan, the supreme leader, stood at his podium. His ancient face showed a mixture of anger and fear. This is an outrageous violation, he shouted. You will be arrested immediately. Arrest us if you can, Sora replied calmly. But first, the galaxy deserves to hear what you've been hiding. The trial of humanity was about to begin. Ambassador Nari Song had arrived at Council Station Omicron 3 days before the Teguk's dramatic entrance. She was Earth's official representative, a skilled diplomat who had spent years navigating the complex politics of the Galactic Council. But even she was shocked when Commander Kim's ship appeared in the middle of the assembly chamber. Now, standing before 10,000 species representatives, Nari prepared to argue the most important case in human history. Council Prime Talvan called the emergency session to order. His voice was cold and formal. The human vessel will be impounded. Its crew will be arrested. Earth will face immediate sanctions for this violation of galactic law. With respect, Council Prime. Nari stepped forward, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. We request a formal hearing before any actions are taken. Under Galactic Charter Article 7, any species has the right to address the Assembly when accused of crimes. Talvan's expression darkened. He knew the law. Very well. You have 1 cycle to present your defense. Grand Inquisitor Vonsel will present the charges against humanity. Vonsel was a towering alien with 6 arms and a reputation for ruthless prosecution. He approached the central podium with confidence. Members of the Assembly, humanity stands accused of developing prohibited technology, violating security protocols, and threatening galactic stability. Their reckless experimentation with advanced FTL drives risks the safety of all civilized space. He activated a holographic display showing the Cascade drive's energy signature. This technology creates unpredictable quantum distortions. In the wrong hands, it could tear holes in the fabric of space itself. The Council's restrictions on FTL development exist for good reason. 5,000 years ago, the precursor civilization destroyed themselves with similar technology. We cannot allow history to repeat itself. Murmurs of concern rippled through the assembly. Vonsel was playing on fear, just as the Council had done for millennia. Nari waited for silence before speaking. The precursors didn't destroy themselves. You destroyed them, the chamber erupted. Representatives shouted questions. Council members demanded order. Nari transmitted data to every screen in the assembly, the ruins that the Teguk had discovered, the ancient data core, blast patterns consistent with Council weapons. These are the remains of the precursor fleet, Nari continued, systematically executed by Council forces 5,000 years ago. Not because their technology was dangerous, because it threatened Council control. This is ancient history, Vonsel protested. The circumstances were different. The precursors were warned. Like you warned us, Nari interrupted. Ambassador Thelrix ordered us to destroy our research within 1 week. Not to modify it, not to make it safer. To destroy it completely. Why? Because safe, fast travel would end your monopoly on galactic commerce and communication. Dr. Jinho Park appeared on the Teguk's transmission screen, broadcasting from the ship. Council members, the Cascade drive is not dangerous. It's actually more stable than the Vren method. Let me show you. He displayed technical data that had been simplified for non-scientists. The mathematical proofs showed that the Cascade drive's quantum mechanics were fundamentally sound. Hana Choi joined the transmission, adding her analysis. We've run 10,000 simulations, Hana explained. The Cascade drive doesn't create dangerous distortions. In fact, it's safer than conventional FTL because it works with quantum entanglement rather than against it. The Council has known this for centuries. They've suppressed the research not for safety but for control. A new voice echoed through the chamber. They speak the truth. Everyone turned. A Council member was standing, breaking protocol. His name was Kexlar, representative of the Corvani species. His 4 eyes blazed with long suppressed anger. 300 years ago, Kexlar said, his voice shaking, my people developed similar technology. We were excited to share it with the galaxy. The Council sent peacekeepers to our world. They said our research was dangerous. When we refused to stop, they destroyed our laboratories. 700 of our best scientists were killed. The Council called it a necessary intervention. They told the galaxy we had suffered an industrial accident. Gasps filled the chamber. Other species representatives were looking at each other with suspicion and dawning horror. I have remained silent for 3 centuries, Kexler continued, because I was afraid. Afraid the Council would do worse if we spoke out. But I see now that silence only gives them power. The humans are right. The Council has been suppressing technological progress for thousands of years. Talvan stood abruptly. Councillor Kexler, you are out of order. These are dangerous accusations. Then let us investigate them. Another representative stood. then another. Within minutes, 20 species representatives were demanding answers. The careful order of the council was crumbling. Bonzel tried to regain control. Even if past actions were questionable, the humans' current behavior cannot be tolerated. They violated our most secure facility. They threatened the order that has kept peace for millennia. Your order is built on lies. Sora's voice cut through the noise. She stood on the Taeguk's bridge, visible to everyone. You don't maintain peace. You maintain control, and you've made a critical mistake. She transmitted new data. During our journey here, we shared the complete specifications for the Cascade Drive with 200 species. We didn't ask for payment. We didn't demand treaties. We just gave it away, because that's what you do with knowledge that can help everyone. Talvan's face went pale. You did what? We gave it away, Sora repeated. Free and open source. Any species can build it now. Your monopoly is already over. The chamber exploded into chaos again. Representatives were frantically checking their communications. Within seconds, confirmations started flooding in. 15 species had successfully built test models. 20 more were in construction. The technology was spreading faster than anyone could stop it. This is madness, Bonzel shouted. You've destabilized the entire galactic order. We've freed it, Jinho corrected from his transmission. You kept everyone moving slowly so you could control them. But now everyone can move fast. You can't monitor everything anymore. You can't control the flow of information. The galaxy is finally free to connect. Talvan raised his hand and the chamber's emergency protocols activated. Armed council guards appeared at every entrance. The broadcast feeds went dark, cutting off transmission to the outside galaxy. Enough, Talvan said, his voice cold with authority. This assembly is suspended. The human vessel will be seized. Its crew will be detained pending charges of galactic terrorism. Nari stepped forward boldly. You can't silence the truth by force? Not anymore. The entire galaxy is watching what you do next. The galaxy will see what happens to those who threaten order, Talvan replied. He activated a communication channel. Council Defense Fleet, this is Priority Command Override. Converge on Earth immediately. Neutralize the human threat by any means necessary. On the transmission screen still visible inside the chamber, fleet movements began appearing. 4,000 warships, the largest military force the Council had deployed in 1,000 years, started moving toward Earth's solar system. Talvan turned back to Nari. You wanted to change the galaxy? You've succeeded. Now you'll watch your homeworld pay the price. Sora smiled coldly from the Taeguk's bridge. We expected this. In fact, we counted on it. She activated a different transmission. The screens throughout the assembly chamber flickered to life again, but now they showed something new. Space around Earth. Hundreds of ships appeared, all broadcasting their allegiance. Ships from the Corvani, ships from species the Taeguk had helped during their journey, ships from worlds that had been waiting for someone to stand up to the Council. You're not the only ones with allies, Sora said, and all of them now have Cascade drives. Director Min Ho-yoon appeared on the transmission from Earth. Council Prime Talvan, your fleet will arrive at Earth in 30 days. That gives us plenty of time to prepare, but I don't think you want this fight. Because the moment your ships attack, 47 species have pledged to jump their fleets directly to this station, all using Cascade technology, all arriving in minutes instead of months. The threat hung in the air. The Council had military superiority with their 4,000 ships, but not if they had to defend their headquarters from instant attack while their fleet was weeks away at Earth. Kexelar stood again. Council Prime, I move for your immediate resignation and the dissolution of the current Council authority structure. I further move that we establish a new democratic galactic assembly where each species has equal representation. Seconded, another representative stood. Then 20 more, then hundreds. Talvan looked around the chamber at the growing rebellion. For 5,000 years, the Council had controlled the galaxy through careful manipulation and suppressed technology. That control had just evaporated in a single day. This session is adjourned, Talvan said quietly, his voice defeated. He left the podium and everyone knew the old order had ended. The trial of humanity had become the trial of the Council itself. And the verdict was clear. The 30 days before the Council fleet's arrival at Earth were the most intense in human history. Director Min Ho-yoon barely slept as he coordinated defense preparations with Earth's allies. 200 human ships now had Cascade drives installed. It wasn't enough to match 4,000 Council warships in direct combat, but it didn't have to be. The key is mobility, Commander Sora explained during a strategy session. She had returned to Earth aboard the Teguk after the dramatic assembly session. We can jump anywhere instantly. They can't. We don't need to win a traditional battle. We just need to make it too costly for them to fight. Dr. Jinho Park had been working on something even more revolutionary. He called it the Cascade Network. By linking multiple ships' drives together, they could jump in perfect synchronization. 1,000 ships could appear at the same location at the exact same moment. It's like a flash mob, Hana Choi explained to the gathered military commanders. But with spaceships, and much more terrifying. Species across the galaxy were watching Earth's preparations. The coalition of 47 species that supported humanity had grown to 90. Most hadn't joined out of love for humans. They joined because they were tired of Council control. Humanity had shown them that freedom was possible. Kexler arrived on Earth personally to coordinate with the coalition. His Corvani engineering teams were helping install Cascade drives on ally ships. In the Seoul Stellar Institute, where it had all begun, he met with Jinho. 300 years we waited, Kexlar said quietly. 300 years of fear and silence. Your species did in months what we couldn't do in centuries. Jinho shook his head. We just refused to accept their rules. Sometimes that's all it takes. The Council fleet arrived at Earth's solar system on schedule, exactly 30 days after Talvan's order. 4,000 warships emerged from their jumps in battle formation. It was an overwhelming display of military power. Ships stretched across space like a wall of metal and weapons. Admiral Thelrix, who had been Earth's ambassador, now commanded the fleet. His face appeared on every screen on Earth as he broadcast his ultimatum. People of Earth, your rebellion ends now. Surrender all Cascade drive technology and submit to Council authority. You have 1 hour to comply. Minho watched the fleet positions from Earth's command center. They're expecting us to panic. Let's show them something else. Jinho, activate the network. Across Earth's solar system, 2,000 ships activated their Cascade drives simultaneously. The coalition fleet appeared in perfect formation around the Council ships, not attacking, just surrounding them. 2,000 ships from 90 different species, all appearing in the same instant. Thelrix's expression changed from confident to shocked in seconds. Admiral, Sora's voice came through on all channels. You came here with 4,000 ships. We have 2,000. But we can jump anywhere in the galaxy in seconds. Your ships take days. Do the math. Before Thelrix could respond, half the coalition fleet jumped away. They reappeared at Council Station Omicron, surrounding the Galactic headquarters. The message was clear. Earth's defenders could be in 2 places at once. The Council fleet could not. We don't want war, Minho broadcast to the Council fleet. We want change. Real change. The old system is over. Join us in building something better or jump back to your empty headquarters station. For 10 minutes, nothing happened. The Council fleet held position. Earth's defenders waited. The entire galaxy watched breathlessly. Then one Council ship powered down its weapons. Then another. Within an hour, half the fleet had stood down. Many of the ships were crewed by species that secretly supported the coalition. They had no desire to fight a war for a council that had been lying to them for centuries. Thelrix watched his fleet crumble and made the only logical choice. Council fleet, stand down. Return to home positions. His transmission cut out, and his ships began jumping away. The battle for Earth had ended without a single shot fired. At Council Station Omicron, Talvan watched the fleet's retreat. His power was broken. Species representatives were already drafting new governance structures. The old Council's authority meant nothing anymore. He sent one final message to Earth. You've destroyed an order that lasted 5,000 years. Jinho responded personally. We ended a tyranny that lasted 5,000 years. There's a difference. The transition period lasted 6 months. Talvan resigned on the first day. The old council members were investigated for their roles in suppressing technology and eliminating species. Some were prosecuted. Others cooperated with the new government. Kexlar proposed the Seoul Accords, named after the city where the Cascade Drive was invented. The Accords established new principles for galactic governance: free technology sharing, no suppression of scientific research, democratic representation for all species, an end to military domination, Ambassador Nari Song was elected as the first speaker of the new Galactic Assembly. She stood at the same podium where Talvan had once ruled and addressed representatives from 10,000 species. "For too long, fear kept us apart," Nari said. "Fear of change, fear of the unknown, fear of what we might become. Today we choose hope instead. We choose progress. We choose freedom." The Assembly voted to adopt the Soul Accords by a vote of 9,200 to 800. The new galactic order was born. The transformation was immediate and dramatic. Travel that once took months now took hours. Isolated civilizations made first contact with hundreds of neighbors. Trade exploded. Cultural exchange flourished. Scientific knowledge spread at unprecedented rates. Yuna Lee, now promoted to Chief Engineer of the Galactic Institute of Open Science, led a team developing Cascade Drive 2.0. The new version was even faster and more efficient. She shared the designs freely, just as Jinho had taught her. Dr. Yunji Han published her research on the newly connected civilizations. 200 species that had been isolated for millennia were now part of the galactic community. Their unique perspectives and knowledge enriched everyone. Hansu Baek helped establish the Pan-Galactic Navigation Network, making space travel safer and more accessible for everyone. The network was maintained by volunteers from 300 species. Sora commanded the first pan-galactic exploration fleet. Her mission was to find isolated civilizations and welcome them into the new community. In the first year alone, they discovered 200 new species, not to conquer or control, but to connect and learn from. 1 year after the Teguk's famous journey, Earth hosted the dedication ceremony for the new Galactic Assembly Hall. Representatives from every known species attended. The building was designed as a collaboration between architects from 50 different worlds. Jinho stood at the podium, nervous despite everything he had accomplished. Hana stood with him for moral support. Director Minho and former Ambassador Thelrix, who had become an unlikely ally in the transition, watched from the front row. "For too long," Jinho began, his voice steady. "Fear kept us apart. Fear of change, fear of the unknown, fear of what we might become if we truly connected. Humanity didn't invent faster travel. We simply refused to accept that we should be afraid of it." He looked out at the 10,000 faces from 10,000 worlds. "We hope we've shown that taking risks, sharing knowledge, and believing in progress isn't recklessness. It's the only way forward. The galaxy is vast and full of wonders. Let's explore it together." The assembly erupted in applause that lasted 5 minutes. Species that had been enemies for centuries stood and cheered together. The old divisions were fading. A new era had truly begun. That evening, Jinho and his team gathered at a small restaurant in Seoul. It was the same place where he and Hana had argued about quantum mechanics 7 years ago. Before any of this began, "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we had just obeyed the council?" Hana asked, sipping her drink. Jinho smiled. "Every day. And every day I'm glad we didn't." Sora raised her glass. "To humanity's stubbornness. To not accepting limits," Minho added. "To changing the galaxy," Yuna finished. They drank together. Friends who had transformed the universe simply by refusing to accept that things had to stay the same. Outside, ships from 1,000 worlds departed from Earth's orbital stations, traveling to destinations that would have been unreachable a year ago. The galaxy had become smaller and more connected. Ancient barriers had fallen. New friendships were forming. In a laboratory at the Seoul Stellar Institute, a young researcher was working late on a new project. She had a theory about manipulating dark energy. It was crazy. It was impossible. It would probably fail. But she was human, and humans had learned something important. The word impossible just meant nobody had succeeded yet. It didn't mean you shouldn't try. The galaxy watched humanity with a mixture of exasperation and admiration. These strange, stubborn beings from a small blue world had turned 5,000 years of order upside down in less than a year. They shared their knowledge freely, took risks that terrified others, and refused to accept that things couldn't be better. And somehow, despite all the chaos they caused, the galaxy was better for it. In the end, that was humanity's real gift to the stars. Not the Cascade Drive, though it was impressive. Not the political revolution, though it was necessary. Humanity's gift was simpler and more profound. They showed the galaxy how to hope again,